are, that would be really nice.
Of course, yes. So I'm Veronica Lobkina. Currently, I work on the sales team at Adjust.
Sure, so I got the really hard questions. You have an interesting response to what is your one favorite food that you can't live without, because it's not really a food, is it?
You love finance, she's just one of those people that's so passionate about the subject. Class was a bit tough,
And you're in analytics right now. So.
Yeah, but then I ended up.
What's one piece of advice that someone told you directly that just really resonates with you?
Listen to your heart and see, okay, now that I know all these things, what do I actually want to do? What feels right for me?
Hi, welcome back. This is the Illuminating Alumni podcast. I am Jalen from the last two episodes. Behind the camera, we have Chris, Nathan, and Venezia, who are all new to the podcast team, as well as Mitch.
So, hi everyone, my name is Mitch, and Jalen, thank you for allowing me to be here today, be here talking about SOM HP, and be here with a very, very special guest. And for those who maybe that don't know what SOM HP is and never really heard about that, we are the School of Management Honors Program here at the University of San Francisco. We are a student-run organization, and whenever you put business students who are very passionate together, I do have to say that one of the greatest things is that as this program, you can do pretty much anything that you really want to do, and that includes things just like this podcast. So it's great being here, and it's great to have a guest. And I do have to say one of the best things about SOM HP has to be our alumni network, and who better off to show that today than our special guest, Veronica Lobkina. So Veronica, it's great to have you. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much.
So for those who don't know who Veronica is, or you'll soon to know who Veronica is. She's part of sales at part of the Mobile Growth Initiative at Adjust. That's an analytics platform. And Veronica, I believe you graduated USF here 2019 with a degree in entrepreneurship. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
And Veronica was telling us before a little bit about the break before we started this is a little fun fact about her favorite food, and it's not what you would think about it. So all of that to we'll all get into that in a little bit, but Veronica, it's great having you, and with that I think that's pretty much it. And Jalen, if you have any more opening remarks, I'll pass it on to you, and if not, we'll get these questions rolling. So
Sure. So I think we'll first start off by Veronica, if you can tell our audience who you are. Once again, I think Mitch gave a recap of that, but if you want to dive more in depth for us to tell us who you are, that would be really nice.
Of course, yeah. So I'm Veronica Lobkina. Currently, I work on the sales team at Adjust. It's a mobile measurement platform. We're actually a part of AppLovin, which is this huge company that helps mobile apps do their user acquisition, marketing measurement. I've been in sales before too at real estate. I consider myself a lifelong learner. I'm a very curious person. I love learning new things. I love languages. I'm fluent in Russian and French. I love going out and speaking these different languages with people. I love going to networking events just to meet other people and find out how they view the world, learn from them. Definitely, appreciate living here in the city. I feel like we have so many amazing people from all over the world. People come here to learn and to start a startup or just work for an established company. And it's really cool having this melting pot of ideas. There's really a lot of opportunity, a lot of cool people to learn from.
So your current position, it's yes, sales, but also you're in a big data analytics firm. Yeah, you were at E&I. So what was sort of the shift going from E&I to analytics? Was analytics something you always wanted to do, or what sparked that change or that motivation, I should say?
Well, to be honest, I wasn't completely sure what to do after graduating. I was feeling pretty lost. I had an internship after I graduated. I was doing that for a while. And then I stopped doing that, and I was just completely lost, didn't know what I want to do. And then my mom, who has a really good friend who has her own real estate brokerage, she told me, hey, maybe you should try real estate. There are lots of brokerages in San Francisco. You should get your license, do real estate. I actually already had my license since college, but I wasn't actually planning to use it. Not sure if I wanted to do real estate because I realized it is a tough gig. You don't have benefits or anything like that. It's commission only. And yeah, so it was tough, but I did that because I didn't know what else to do. I'm like, okay, I'll try it out. I might as well, because some people are super successful in real estate. Like, you hear stories about like the top producing agents that are selling these $15 million houses.
Yes.
And I have been around them too. And it's just kind of like, some people are just natural sellers. They just have this charisma, and it's really easy for them to be confident, to know what they're doing. And I've had the privilege to, work for Vanguard Properties, which is, I think, the largest remaining independent brokerage in San Francisco. All the other ones have been bought up by larger companies, and Vanguard, I think, still is standing strong. So it was awesome. Like, the CEOs were very involved. Like, we had these meetings, and I learned. And yeah, so I did that for a couple of years. And I guess the reason I switched into tech was because, real estate is a pretty slow-paced thing, and there is a lot involved. You're pretty much a therapist to the people you work with, because buying or selling a house is very stressful. Like, I've talked to people and they're like, hey, doing real estate is more stressful than having a child. and so you really got to be ready to provide the emotional support. But the thing is, like, I was super young, I was still in my early 20s, and a lot of people didn't really take me that seriously. At open houses, I've been told by people, hey, what are you even doing here? Like, you're so young. And so that was definitely like tough to deal with. And I guess after a certain time, I just kind of got tired of that. And I was working with a lot of clients who are in tech, and they're like, hey, I have it so good. I'm getting paid a lot of money, great benefits, paid time off, remote work, all of that. So I'm like, you know what? I should check that out. Like, I live in San Francisco. I might as well start working in tech and check it out, like work with people who are my own age. And so, yeah, that's how I switched. Like, I wanted something a bit more stable, the cool benefits, just kind of more like faster pace as well. Because I was getting a bit bored in real estate. I feel like, that's just my opinion. I do know that some people who started young are successful, and it's really for them. But for me, it's more of like a second career. It's kind of like what you do when you're like in your 40s and above, and you already have like a wide network of people that you can work with. Because it is really it's about your network. You want to have like 6 deals going at the same time, because you got to make that commission, cover your bills. It's not like something where you're making money necessarily every 2 weeks. Like, sometimes you only get paid like once every 3 months. So you also need to be super organized. And yeah.
I see. So since we have covered that of your transition from entrepreneurship to business analytics, or even data analytics, do you mind if we backtrack a little bit and talk about how you got into entrepreneurship in your university?
Of course, yeah. Like, I love the program. I think it was an amazing program. Like, I do not regret doing that. I remember I had someone before I was applying was like, oh, that doesn't sound like a serious program. You should do something more serious, like finance or accounting. And although I have like thought about it before, I love E&I because it allowed me to really study all aspects of the business. I had like a white paper thought leadership class. I had a marketing class, had finance, accounting, business law, design thinking. I think that it's all super important to know how to run your own business. And I guess, I still want to run my own business sometime in the future, like maybe in 10 years or something like that. So I love having that foundation. I also feel that the E&I program, especially if you're taking honors classes, is really a lot like the MBA, because I'm actually in grad school right now doing my master's in business analytics. And the reason I'm not doing an MBA is because I looked at the courses, and they were literally like the same courses that I did for my E&I major. So I'm like, wow, it's practically like I already got my MBA. And so I wanted to do something a bit more technical.
I see. Oh, if you remember during your time here, do you remember if E&I was still starting out? Because I'm also an E&I major myself. But then I remember when I first came here, I believe Kenneth Kachow, who we have interviewed for the podcast, he was also an E&I major, and he convinced me to really settle down for the major there. So do you remember if it was still starting the program there, or has it already been there and you've heard about it before you applied to college here?
Yeah, I think it's already been here, but it was like starting out in the sense that, I was talking to people about it outside of school, and it wasn't that common. They were like, what, you can major in entrepreneurship? Like, that's, insane, only in San Francisco, right? But I think now it's like a lot more common, and you see like pretty much all schools have that kind of major now. But yeah, it was still like, it wasn't new to USF, but it was new to people outside of school.
I hate to kind of take a little backtrack, but you were in real estate at one moment, kind of, and of course, real estate's all about sales, and then you're in a sales position right now, and sort of in the transition of getting more into the analytics kind of role. But in terms of the sales role itself, how different is sales at Adjust in this sort of industry than being in a sales role for just real estate? How would you describe that to maybe people who don't know too much about either of these industries, especially the more analytics side?
Oh yeah, that's a really great question actually. Yeah, let me think about it for a minute. Well, I'll start with real estate. In real estate, I mean, I guess the best suggestion I have for someone who wants to go into real estate sales is find a team, find a good team where you can have like at least one mentor. You can choose to like be an assistant to a top producer or shadow someone. Like, don't make the mistake that I did to be completely on your own, because it is really tough to have to handle everything. Because when you're in real estate sales, residential real estate, commercial is totally different. Like commercial is like corporate different, but residential, like you're essentially your own boss. So you have to handle your finances, your marketing plan, your social media, budgeting, sales, like actually going out and showing people houses, reviewing the documents. So it's definitely like, I guess it's like a more of a lone wolf style. Like some people can do it very well, but it is like a lot of, you have to be very self-motivated and be willing to work hard. I mean, the same in tech sales too. Tech sales has changed a lot over the years. It used to be like you could just spray and pray, like send a lot of cold emails, make a lot of cold calls, and just like 1 out of 10 people would get a meeting. But now you have to be like very conscientious of all the messaging you put out. Like, I write hyper personalized emails. Before I make every call, I research who I'm calling to know exactly what I'm going to say to them, because we're all super busy now. Like most people don't even pick up the phone, because I'm pretty sure you're told not to pick it up, right? Because of all the spam callers. So it is really tough to get through there. What I do love about tech sales is the support, is that, it's not a lone wolf thing. You have a team around you, and, I have my team and my manager who's really helpful. Then I have another team that I work with very closely and their manager. Then we have another guy at the top who's also very hands-on, and other teams around us. So it's really like, there has to be a lot of alignment, because when you're working for a bigger company, there has to be alignment between sales and marketing and the overall company strategy, because that's how the revenue gets made. And I guess that's what I love about it, is that I feel like I've made a good decision, because I definitely wanted that to be part of something greater and to have more support.
Exactly. So appreciate your offering.
So I guess from what you're saying, there's a lot of teamwork that needs to be considered when you go into these jobs. So I also wanted to ask you, even though most of our viewers probably are just students here in SOM HP right now in the undergraduate level, but a lot of big question that looms across us is whether to pursue a master's degree. And since you said that you were in a master's degree program yourself, I was wondering if you can address sort of like some pivotal moments for you that made you decide to go into another educational program to get this further education. Is there anything that you tell us to decide before we pursue a master's degree, or whether we should even go in to get a master's degree or not?
That's a tough question. I feel like I could have a better answer for you after I actually get the degree, and then I can tell you if I got, what I wanted from it. But honestly, it has been tough doing work and school at the same time. And I don't know if I'd like recommend that. Like, I wouldn't recommend doing it at the same time. What I would recommend actually is like first go work for like 3 to 5 years, and then take a couple of years off to do a master's in person. That way you can kind of get like a little break, and you can be a student again. I know that's what some people are doing, and that's probably the better way to do it. But if you do need to be making money and you like need some new skills, then you should like do a part-time program. And I guess why I did it is because I just wanted more technical skills. Like, I thought it would be very useful to know how to do coding, how to do data analytics, like work with Tableau, SQL, Python, just because like it's so present in San Francisco. I mean, it's all about data. I mean, you're in San Francisco when you don't know what the billboards are saying, because they're all like, data plus AI, all this stuff. And it's like, what even is this stuff? I mean, it's for developers. And so I felt like, I want to be more in tune with like the general culture here, like be more tech savvy.
I see.
You're still relatively young. You're getting your MBA right now, and you graduated in 2019. And so you still have a extended, great career ahead of you. But in terms of the lead up to getting or pursuing this MBA, one of my favorite sayings, it's sort of cliche, but it's not, I completely forgot it, but it's like, it's not how hard you fall, but it's how you get up that actually counts. And so I was wondering, maybe in the lead up to this process, was there ever a moment, a setback where you're put in a little hardship and you got up and you responded to it? So what was that obstacle and how did you respond, and what did you ultimately learn from that, if anything like that comes to mind to you?
Oh, of course. Yeah, I think that moment for me was the pandemic, because it happened just as I was starting my career in real estate. And it was kind of a setback because like everyone who was in real estate for many years, they already had a big network of people they could just do deals with. So for everyone else, business was booming, like better than ever. They're like, oh, I've been in real estate for 20 years and this is the best year ever. But for me, because I was new and I didn't know anyone, like it was a very bad year because I couldn't do open houses. And that's how new agents typically meet clients, is by, other agents let them go and do open houses. And so I wasn't able to do that, and I was kind of stuck in it. And then the next year, 2021, I'm like, okay, open houses are back. I can do my best. Like I can really put everything into it. So I did. I felt like I put everything I had into being successful at real estate. And I was just very, I guess I'm just a bit of an impatient person. Like I wanted more results. I've had days where I drove around to like all parts of the Bay Area, like San Francisco, North Bay, East Bay, South Bay. I've showed like houses to 4 different people and then none of them ended up buying. And I spent a lot of money on gas, a lot of time. So it was kind of reached a point where I'm like, okay, like I'm, maybe if I do this for 2 to 3 more years, I'll start seeing results, but I'm just not that patient. Like I'm just not that kind of person. Like I need to be making more money now. I need to be having more support, part of a team. So I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? And then I just kind of had these 2 ideas where I'm like, okay, I need to get a job in tech and I need to get a master's degree because I want to work in analytics, because I tried to apply for analytics jobs, but they're like, oh, but you don't have an analytics degree. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to continue with sales and plan for analytics in the future.
Okay.
So looking back at when you're an undergrad here, did you ever envision what your future self would be like? And now if you look back, do you think it aligns with what you were thinking of? Because I remember you said that you want to, you took entrepreneurship to get like a variety of skills and also maybe potentially open your own business. Was that like a goal you envision yourself right now, and are you slowly working towards that?
It's interesting. I think I was a bit caught up like with all the schoolwork. I wasn't really thinking about the future that much. I guess I thought it would be pretty typical. I guess like I was hoping that maybe I would like found my own startup or something, like have that kind of experience or be working for like a super early age startup. So yeah, I guess. And now, now it's kind of aligns because even though I'm in an older startup, it still functions like a startup. My team is pretty small and I get to wear several hats. So I guess, yeah, it kind of aligns. Yeah.
So piggybacking off of that, so how about we take a moment now and for you to envision what you would be doing in 1 year, or how about 5 years? Where do you see yourself there?
And feel free to be as, complex, because analytics is, of course, the name. There's a lot of complexity there, and I know we do have a lot of analytics majors, in our program itself. So, you can describe this role and how much complexity that you want to. It's okay, I don't understand it because this is not my role, but we do have a lot of students for that. So, what are maybe some roles in the analytics space that actually sounds really interesting to me.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I guess in a year, we'll see. Honestly, what the way the market is going, I might still be in sales in a year, or I might be like a marketing analyst because I'm interested in like search engine marketing, interested in using like SQL to analyze databases, pick out groups of audiences to market to. But I don't know, I'm honestly open to exploring like all kinds of different jobs, like maybe even a sales engineer, like someone who's kind of more of a tech support person, understands how to explain the platform and such. So I guess, yeah, that's in 1 year. In 5 years, I'm really excited about all the new technologies being developed. I wonder like how much AI, how present it will be in 5 years. Like I'm wondering if, basically most analytics jobs will be done by AI in 5 years, and the people will just be there to like look for bugs or give it prompts or something like that. Because I feel like the way that traditional analytics roles now, they might not be the same in 5 years. They may totally evolve. So I guess I'm just trying to be adaptable, be in the know of what's going on, like learn new skills so I can be ready for anything.
So I think this is present in most of everyone's lives, especially when you talked about when you're going into this real estate, having a mentor, someone to guide you in that direction. Well, if you think back to it now, was there someone or something that has greatly helped you in guiding you through your journey that you have now?
Let's see. Yeah, there's definitely been like a few people. Like I feel like definitely my mom. She's always been very supportive. Like definitely always gives me a shoulder to cry on. Let's see. Like I've had some great teachers and professors over the years. Starting from high school, I've had some amazing teachers who told me, hey, you should start investing. Like start as early as you can. Like, hey, don't just do what people tell you. You need to question why things are done. Like think for yourself. So like people like that, just like not even necessarily like having close relationships, but just sometimes you hear something and it really resonates with you, and you think like, wow, like this is awesome. This is a cool like philosophy of life. And also the person that I had my first internship with was amazing. She's great. Like she gave me my first recommendation on LinkedIn. She helped me join this private like social club. Like I love her. So definitely it's like it really means a lot, because it could be tough in the city. There's so much competition. Like I mentioned, people from all over the world are very smart and talented. It means a lot when someone's like willing to take you under your wing and help you out.
And I'm glad you brought up mentors, because one of the great things about mentors is they have that wisdom, and of course wisdom, it takes time to build that.
Yes.
And they can help share their mistakes and what they learn along the way. Continuing off or that subject about learning, and given where you are right now, what is one thing that you acknowledge today and you embrace today that you just wish you would have known as an undergraduate student pursuing your degree, and what is that one thing?
I guess it's spending more time with people, spending more time building relationships. It's also like, because people aren't going to be in your life forever. Like I kind of feel like I didn't spend enough time with certain people when I was an undergrad, and now they moved back to other continents, other states, and I feel like I kind of missed out on that opportunity. And that actually goes into, I think, another question about like what's your advice for like the workplace. I think communication is extremely important, like how well you get along with people. Of course you need to be great at your job, but I feel like what's even more important than that is like being there for other people, making their jobs easier, getting along. I feel like it's important to learn that in college. I feel like I spent way too long on my homework, and I didn't spend enough time like making friends. Like I should have joined some kind of sport or some other hobby activity.
Yeah, and I think that's good advice because as honors program students, of course, one of the pillars is that academic fence. And so I think we can all relate to the many hours of homework and such. And so I think that's correct. A great thing. It's a who world, and those connections. Those people in our classes, like us, will eventually be in those positions, and having those connections are valuable. So I think that's a great pointer right there.
So now you're juggling between your entrepreneurship major and also you're pursuing the data analytics as a master's. Were there any particular skills that you feel that were widely different from each other when you have these two options? So maybe I know there's a lot of ones that are connected, like communication, teamwork, that are greatly used here. But was there one that specifically that stood out that is only for entrepreneurship and one for analytics, or was there a way that you combined those skills together to where you are now?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I mean, yeah, I think I want to that's kind of my goal, to combine it, to have like the soft skills and the hard skills, because I feel like that's pretty important. Yeah, like I feel like the analytics major is definitely more techy. Like you definitely do a lot of like business process diagrams, Python, SQL, as well as like optimization modeling. It kind of builds on the classes I took here. So yeah, it's kind of like just like more advanced. like more analytics, like more tech focused. So yeah, I just wanted to dive deeper in that. Like I wasn't really interested in doing more like consulting type projects, and it's also more of like individual, like because I feel like in entrepreneurship there are a lot more group projects, but here in the analytics there's more like it's mostly individual, which is kind of what I needed because I'm also working full time, so it's more convenient to have like individual projects instead of having to find a time to meet.
To collaborate on that, the messy works of collaboration with the scheduling, especially nowadays with the remote option too.
So, and I think maybe you kind of hinted this earlier, but when going to the workplace, I know for a lot of us students, it's like, holy cow, I'm actually about to be working, and it's sort of kind of like putting us in. It feels like at times being dropped in the deep end. Like yes. I have no idea what to actually expect out of this, and so yes, you started in real estate, but maybe more your job right now at Adjust, where it's you're kind of more of a corporate feel. I know you said it has startup hints to it still, but was there one thing that now you're at the job and you've experienced that you just were not expecting as an undergraduate student in terms of the workplace, or was it pretty much kind of like, oh, I kind of expected this, this is sort of how companies operate and what they feel like to be a part of, or was it completely a surprise? So
let's see, I mean, mostly like I feel like I expected it. It is a big time commitment, obviously, and it's I guess what I didn't expect is just how important that communication piece would be, that even if it's remote, you're still talking on Slack all day, and that other people depend on you. It's more than just about you and your immediate team. It's also about the greater team. And I guess also like people's emotions do come into play, so sometimes you have to be careful about like how you interact with people because they can perceive it differently. It's almost like like I've seen people be let go from other companies just because they couldn't get along well with other people, and they've done like big mistakes. Like for example, we had like a group meeting with the management, and then there's someone who's just like spouting off about like how unhappy they are with management and basically just making them look bad in front of everyone. Like that's a huge no. Like don't do that. They were fired like in an hour after they did that. So yeah, definitely like be careful about like be patient. Like that's number one thing. Like you have to be patient with the people and the process. Sometimes you make mistakes, like own up to them, move on. Don't just be like, no, it's your fault. Don't make excuses. Just say like, yeah, it was my bad. Like that won't happen again. And yeah.
Okay, so I guess that's the gist of this entire podcast here. But we're going to quickly follow up with some rapid fire questions. Just trust your gut feelings and, say what you have. Pretty short and simple. So from here, give us a short summary of what Adjust Ignite was in San Francisco, because I know you have attended this one.
Oh, yes, it's actually coming up next Wednesday. So it's this networking and learning conference about mobile marketers. We'll have some amazing companies. We'll have people from Square, Roblox, Blizzard, Reddit, tons of other companies. Basically, it's like an opportunity for people to network and learn about the latest trends in app marketing, like incrementality, media mix modeling, cross-platform attribution, post-Apple's privacy changes, because the biggest thing for the industry was like Apple's privacy changes and how people are dealing with it.
Okay, great. Next question. What most important skill would you recommend to business students to have? I know you already addressed multiple skills and things to look out for, but is there any other skill that you believe that we should have that you did not already mention?
I guess just believing in yourself, like having confidence, because it really does show. Like you need to be able to, stand up for yourself and share your ideas. Like don't keep them to yourself, because if you're in the right kind of place, like they'll be willing to listen to you.
And then I don't know how many books you have read throughout your life here, but if you had one book to recommend to someone, what would it be?
It would probably be Brian Tracy's The Psychology of Selling. I think that sales skills are super important, because they made me feel a lot more confident. Like before I started this job, like I was not feeling that good, but I was scared of making cold calls, but now I make like 50 a day, and doesn't feel scary at all. So it definitely takes practice. And I think it's important because even if you're like a software engineer, you still need to have sales skills so you can convince your boss like why the code should be written a certain way or why you should undertake a certain project. So, you're always vouching for yourself.
Yes. So guys, confidence is very important. Keep that in there. And go ahead.
I know, but no, I definitely love the confidence point because I'm a firm believer of the self-fulfilling prophecy. If you ever heard about that, where confidence breeds, actual results. And so if you don't have that, most likely it's not going to achieve that. So sorry to interrupt you, Jalen.
No worries. One final for me is, what does a day in your dream life would look like?
Let's see, I guess, working on something that I love, that, I wake up and I'm like, wow, I'm so blessed to be working on this. Like, I love it. Also, having time for my family and friends, like definitely important to me. Spend time with the people I love. And yeah, just kind of being passionate about life, being in a good place, having good, equilibrium between work, personal life. Yeah.
Great, and then Mitch will take care of
Sure,
those.
so I got the really hard questions. Not really. So I think you kind of had more serious questions. I think these are a little bit more lighthearted, but of course, welcome. We're back here on USF, lovely campus. And I have a few questions relating about your time at USF, and one of them has to be, your favorite class and your favorite professor. And they could be, they don't have to be the same, they could be different. So what are those?
I actually have two. Like one is for my business major, I really like the finance class with Professor Goldberg. Like I know, it made me love finance. She's just one of those people that's so passionate about the subject. And I'm like, I was very proud of my project, which was like valuing Starbucks stock with like a 3-step dividend model. I still have it saved on like a drive somewhere.
What was your recommendation? Was it a buy, sell, or what was it at the time?
It was a buy.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember, Mitch, but I think the example she used for us was Starbucks.
Oh.
I don't know if you were referenced when she was talking about Starbucks. Do you think Veronica was referenced? I think so, because then she kept going off on how this was like one of the best valuations she had. So congrats.
Oh, thank you.
So, okay, next question. Favorite professor was Goldberg and favorite class? Okay, my bad. So, and kind of the next question would be is, we kind of talked about this a little bit, and I kind of hinted at the very beginning of the podcast, but you have an interesting response to what is your one favorite food that you can't live without, because it's not really a food, is it?
No, it's funny, we were talking about this before we started recording. I was like, it's probably my boyfriend because he makes me coffee every morning, but then is it really him or is it the coffee?
Alrighty. And I think, we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but what's one piece of advice that someone, told you directly that just really resonates with you, and it's sort of kind of a philosophy of how you kind of govern your work right now? And that could be anything. It could be as, abstract or, as simple as possible.
I guess, that's an interesting one. I guess up to a certain point, you should be a sponge and you should just like soak up everything around you, like learn from as many people as you can. But then you'll get to a point, and then I feel like everyone kind of knows when you get to this point where you feel like, okay, like I've listened to other people enough, like I'm old enough where I can listen to my heart now because I have all these things, like I know how life works, I know what works for me, what doesn't, and I'm ready to kind of go off on my own. Because at a certain point, it's like, yes, when you're young, you want to learn, you want to listen, kind of use your ears more than you use your mouth. But then, I feel like when you're like mid-20s, older, you kind of need to be more like yourself. You need to listen to your heart and see, okay, like now that I know all these things, like what do I actually want to do? Like what feels right for me? And
Okay, great. And I think that's pretty much all the questions, wrapped up on my part. I do kind of have to ask you, and you don't have to drop names on this, but we did talk about favorite class, but I have to ask, what was one class that was like, man, I can't wait for the semester to end right now?
Let's see. I mean, Well, actually, I guess the Excel class was a bit tough. Like
And
the
you're in analytics right now, so.
yeah. But then I ended up actually liking it. Like I ended up taking like advanced finance classes for fun and learning all these formulas. So it's kind of interesting. Like, but yeah, I was scared of that class. But then as you're if you're willing to spend the time, you're gonna get good at anything. Like you can do anything. You just gotta be willing to put in the time. Like even if it's like 15 minutes a day, you want to learn any skill, you start with that, and then yeah, you're gonna get good.
So that's great. So I guess one final question to wrap it all up to our audience here who was watching: is there a way, or like on social media or on LinkedIn that we reached out to? Is there a way that you would say and tell them how to reach out to you if they have any issues regarding entrepreneurship, real estate, analytics, or anything in that matter?
For sure, yeah, you can reach me on LinkedIn, Veronica Lobkina. I'm there all day, every day for my job, so you can find me there. I mean, I do have other social media, but honestly, I don't have much time to use it right now, like juggling work and school. But yeah, LinkedIn, I'm kind of there all the time. So
Great. Well, thank you, Veronica, for coming to our Illuminating Alumni podcast. We're really happy to have you, and for our audience, we'll stay tuned for our next episode. Thank you.
Thank you, Veronica.